Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Olivia. Hi, Natalia.
How are you guys?
Good.
So far, so good. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Al.
Hey,
Hi, Chris. All right, so just so you guys know, Dave, I may not be able to make this meeting because he's kind of pretty deep in staff reports, he said. Um, so he asked if I could go over the staff part on our end. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, is there anyone else that we're missing for our consultant on our consultant side?
no, just
You,
me.
Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the ad hoc district elections committee. Brian, if you can start with the protocols of the meeting or procedures.
Certainly. So this meeting will be conducted pursuant to the provisions of the governor's executive orders N-29-20 and N-33-20 and Santa Barbara County Health Officer's order in response to the spread of COVID-19 virus. The committee members, staff, and any presenters will be participating by video conference using the Zoom platform. The public can view the meeting live, and instructions to view the meeting are included in the posted agenda. The public can also participate in the meeting in the following ways. They can submit a comment via the e-comment link on the city's agenda website for this meeting to be distributed to committee members or read into the record during the meeting. Or the public may also provide real-time public comment through the Zoom meeting by using the raise your hand feature to notify staff they would like to make a public comment during the designated public comment times. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Brian. In terms of roll call, we have Vice Mayor Al Clark and myself, Natalia Alarcon, present. In terms of city staff, we have Olivia Uribe Mutual present and Chris Chafee. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Okay, present as well. Moving on to agenda item number 2, which is public comment. And this is the time for public comment on matters not otherwise on the agenda, but within the subject matter of the District Elections Committee.
So Councilmember Alarcon, I do not see any raised hands at the moment for this item. However, I just wanted to note for the record that we did receive an e-comment from Russell Ruiz, as well as an email from him this afternoon regarding the new district website.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 3, which is the approval of minutes for August 25th. Are there any amendments or questions on the minutes before they're approved or before we make a motion?
None from my end, and so I'll go ahead and move to approve.
I will second that. Okay. Item number.
Oh, Natalia,
Yes.
the vote?
Oh, yes. Roll call vote. Is that what we have to do? Or aye. Whoever's in favor, say aye. Aye.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Item number 3. I'm sorry. Item number 4, which is to discuss website updates.
Okay. I have one question about and I think this might be a Brian question, but or a Chris question, but does the email about the elections have to be posted on the website?
I'm sorry, Olivia. What was that? Oh,
I can answer. I think that so under Fair Maps Act, you have to have like an archive of all community of interest, like testimony pieces. So because you're not districted and not under the Fair Maps Act, technically no. But I think from a best practice standpoint, because all cities and counties that are subject to the Fair Maps Act are posting kind of these communities of interest pieces of testimony, then I think it's a best practice to do so.
Okay.
And I also think that some cities and counties, like the way you're doing it, I think is great, where it's just like right there and you can just kind of scroll through. But others are just kind of doing links where it's a link to the comment, so you have to go a little further to see it.
Okay.
But again, I think it's really as long as it's available for the public to view in some way and it's on your website, you're good.
So I'll submit that email to Ted to post. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so I'm going to share our screen. I'm very excited because that's the wrong screen. Let's see. Let's see.
It looks great, I have to say. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. Let's see, where are we? All right, I'll just share a new screen here. So I'm very excited that we have a new website. And so when you go to the city of Carpinteria, this pops up and it says, hey, there's the Carpinteria City Council districting. So you click more info and it takes you to our Carpinteria website that's live for the district elections. This is the homepage. And you can also go to drawcarpinteria.com and it'll take you here as well. And so here's kind of an intro. I'm just gonna do an overview and then feel free to visit it anytime, hopefully multiple times. But we would just kind of want to show you what we have. So here's kind of the intro, and then here it says sign up to be notified of updates. So when you click on it, it'll pop up this sign up form. And we provide the background as to why we're doing this. And it has a schedule of public meetings. And I actually have to we actually have to create the Zoom meetings and link them. So that's something that's missing. And then we have, this is going to be the information for previous links of things that have already happened. So city council, it gives you the resolutions, it gives you the minutes, so you can access those, and the staff reports for all of these. Anytime that the city council has addressed district elections. And then this is information for this particular committee that is meeting now. And so it has the agendas, the minutes, and the recordings of previous meetings. For process and mapping tools, we have the paper placemats that we discussed in Spanish and English, and it has the District R mapping tool. So if we click on that, it'll take us to how we can draw our maps of the community. And here it has like one submitted communities of interest.
Yeah, so I did that one. And
Was that Al?
I did that one.
Okay.
And so when you're done, I've got some questions.
Okay. And then we have the communities of interest tab. Oh, yeah. And so it shows us, it talks about what are communities of interest. And again, it gives us the paper placemats in the District R. Then we have the schedule, and this is the amended schedule that we are hoping for. So here it says flexible date, but actually I can update it now that we have some dates. And then here's kind of October, we'll have some more hearings, and then in January, February, and March. And then public feedback, we've got comments that have been submitted via Granicus. And then people can submit other comments here, and they won't automatically come up, but rather we'll get a notification and then we will post it so that it prevents all sorts of crazy spam or anything, bots or anything. And then lastly, there's the contact page. And it has a custom email address, Carpinteria District Elections at ci.carpinteria.ca.us, or click here to sign up and receive district elections information. So that's the update on the website. And one thing that I do not see is like the language functionality, but I think it was something that could just be turned on. But I have to double check with Ted on that. Sorry, I'm just making a note to myself. So that's our website. When you go home, let me know if you can still see this. Can you still see now the
Yeah.
homepage, like the Carpinteria? Okay, so the other place where it is, aside from like the splash page, is down here under hot topics and district elections. So that'll take us there as well. So that's the new website. And I'm happy to answer any questions or get feedback. We're still, we just launched it yesterday, and so yes, and so we're happy to get all the feedback we can back to the designer.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it, and we talked about this last time, and I can't remember. I guess my first question is about nomenclature. We have these boundaries on here that are like the census blocks or district blocks or something. Anyway, I tried to do a map, and I would try to draw in a color, and it would. I wanted to end at one place, but it kept going because it wanted to add the rest of that district or something that I was in, and I couldn't erase it or do anything about it. And a lot of frustration, and I think that if it's not easy to use, I mean, people are going to go right to the placemat and ignore this because it's not allowing me to do what I want to see. I can see where I can do the numbers so I can balance the districts and stuff, but I can't get it to make the blocks where I want them to go because these other lines get in the way that are forcing my, I'll do a blue color and I want to draw it someplace, but it goes over to somewhere else and I can't get rid of that somewhere else.
So I guess, are you using are you making your paintbrush really small?
Yeah.
Like to 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Because if basically what you're finding, then it's just census block geography, and we can't do anything about what this US Census Bureau has defined as census blocks. Those are the smallest building blocks that we're allowed to draw in. So if basically we have to comply with those when we're drawing our district lines, because we can't, if we split a census block, we don't know into two different, like, let's say census part A, census block part B, we don't know what the populations are in A and B, because the populations are defined at the lowest point to the census block geography. So I know that there are problems because what the Census Bureau did this decade was they combined a number of like low populated census blocks together, creating larger census blocks in a lot of areas all over California. They actually reduced the number of census blocks in the state by 200,000. So it's like we're kind of stuck with the census geography that we have, and we have to use those lines for district.
So I'm gonna go to the placemat then.
Right, but at the end of the day, we're always going to have to draw with the same census blocks. So you're going to have the same frustration when we have district lines, because we have to conform to census blocks, and that's what Districtor is drawn in. It's drawn based on census blocks.
Okay, well, I guess, all I can do is we can try,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just hoping we don't, the objective, what I wanted to do was, I think that there's two really good potential districts for communities of interest being at the west end of Carpinteria, both on either side of the freeway. And it's just having trouble those leaping into other places and stuff, but I'll keep playing with it and trying to balance the numbers at the same time.
I mean, the other thing you can try to, instead of trying to balance, you could just do the distinct communities you want to draw. And you could even have them overlap to some extent. So we could start figuring out where the best place to put the line is between them. If that makes sense.
Oh, so in the final map, we don't have to follow the census, but
No, we do. But what I mean is that, like, maybe I'm making it more confusing, but let me just show you, like,
maybe I am.
here, let me show you something real quick on Districtor.
Yeah.
So let me just move you guys over. So I can get really zoomed in, right? So like the west side of town.
Okay, so in that area that you're in now,
Yeah.
Go up to you see where it says El Caro?
Yeah.
Okay, press above that, like you want to get this from El Caro over to, see, it catches that other area over there to the right.
Yeah. And see,
that's one I wanted to eliminate.
Right. You want to use Sterling Ave as a dividing line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is the problem with, so I've made my paintbrush all the way down just to one census block.
Yeah. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, for whatever reason, like the Census Bureau has like made this, here, let me just zero out the map. This one census block is this whole, like, along El Caro, and it goes over Sterling. So really, what from a drawing perspective, right, this kind of all has to be included together because of the way the census geography works.
So now, Chris, are these census boundaries, are those based roughly on population numbers?
No, I mean, it is and it isn't. So census blocks kind of have developed over time, and every decade before the census, so like starting in, like, usually in 7 and 8 of year decades, they start reaching out to communities and cities and counties to say, okay, it's time for us to go through an update to our census blocks. Please send us your new boundaries and any, like, new subdivisions that you are planning and that are coming forward, so we can start drawing new census blocks to incorporate the new annexations of cities and counties and school districts, and also, like, have census blocks so that when growth happens over the decade, we can they can fit into blocks. And what we found, I worked a lot on the census from a community standpoint, is that some cities did a really good job and counties did a really good job of providing what they called the Luca update for census blocks, and others didn't. And so it kind of depended on, like, and also these were all fed up to the state, and then the state shared with the Census Bureau. So it also became a thing with different counties had a different process. So, but I think, one of the problems with census geographies is it doesn't always align to what we want from a planning standpoint. But because of the idea, the number one criteria, right, when we're drawing district lines, is to try to create relatively equal sized districts. That forces us to use census geography because it's the lowest, smallest geography that we have with population. So that's a long-winded response to your simple question, and I apologize that I can't give you a better answer, but we're kind of stuck with the census blocks.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll stop sharing my screen and let Olivia keep going because she's doing a great job on the website.
No, but let me just add one thing. I mean, we might, if people are going to be using that, this is something that they should know that they have to get around or work with, because they're going to do without without Chris looking over my shoulder right now, they're going to get frustrated.
So, I mean, we can add more to the landing page language about like the census geography, and that we're forced to kind of use this for redistricting purposes, that it doesn't define neighborhoods. It doesn't, doesn't reorder your community anyway. It just is as a tool that we have to use for redistricting.
Yeah. Okay.
And so Chris, you'll work with Olivia to add that to the landing page? That's what.
Yeah, I think I'll add that to like the last paragraph before you start like towards the bottom of the landing page. But I'll work with Olivia and Dave to make sure it works. And then
So I got one more question.
Mhm.
We had before you guys, and before everybody was here, except for me, we had another consultant, and he said stuff like, you can never go across these big boundaries like a freeway for your district. And I was trying to do, I was trying to do that just to, make things work. So what's your take on that?
I think the key really is thinking of the redistricting process as a criteria, right? The first, or like a set of criteria in ordered importance. The first one is like kind of equal size populations for districts. And that, of course, we have that 10% deviation that we can use as a tool, so they don't have to be balanced to one person. The second one is that everything has to be contiguous. So you can't hop and skip over districts. You can't have like islands. District 1 can't have an island in District 2, stuff like that. 3 is following community of interest testimony. And then, and so on. And in that contiguous idea, we always talk about something that's called functional, that an area needs to be functionally contiguous. So people need to be able to go from one place to another. And you look at it in that way. That's where you kind of, the freeway example comes in. Like if you connect two sides of a freeway and there's no way to get from the top half to the bottom half because there's a freeway that splits it, that's not functionally contiguous. It's almost like you're joining two islands together, right? There's no way for people to go back and forth.
What if there's overpasses?
But if there's an overpass, if there's an underpass, if there's a tunnel, those all work.
Okay.
And you can also think of it too, like if like Catalina is not functionally contiguous to any part of LA, right? But if you wanted to draw it from a legislative standpoint in an assembly district, it's contiguous to both LA and Long Beach by ferry. So that would be, so you could connect Catalina Island to either the port of LA or the Long Beach port. I know they're the same, but like I think they have two different ferry connections. But
yeah.
If you think of it that way, like that's what we're thinking about for functional contiguity. So overpasses, underpasses, tunnels work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just like trying to balance everything out to get to 5 districts, and how do you get those numbers
to work?
Yeah.
Olivia, I have a question for you, and I apologize. The website looks great. I didn't realize it was live yesterday, and so I haven't been able to fully explore it. But do we have dates on the website in terms of up until when we will be accepting the maps?
We do not have like a drop deadline for when we will be accepting maps. Partly it's not, partly because it's not finalized yet. So on the schedule, and I'll go back to the schedule and share that. On the schedule here, we have like the pre-map hearing, but we have a flexible date. See, we have a second and fourth Monday. And Chris, I don't know if there's like a drop deadline for when we can accept maps, but I feel like you can still be amending them up until February, accepting them and amending them up until February.
So, I mean, ideally, well, under CVRA, basically you need, if you're going to discuss a map, you need to allow the public to view it 7 days prior. So if we're having our first hearing in January, then we need to put the maps we're going to discuss, those first round of draft maps, up 7 weeks before. So people, like, ideally, right, would submit, let's say, middle of December, their draft plans, because then we can use those draft plans as we prepare the drafts we're going to bring to you. Because what we love to do is elevate publicly drawn plans and make them draft plans. And a lot of times what we have to do is maybe the deviations are a little bit off. So we want to balance the districts a little bit more. Maybe there's not that overpass connecting an area that's on two sides of a freeway. So we want to move something over so that it is contiguous functionally. Things like that. So I think from a practical standpoint, the deadline would be probably mid-December from, like, for that first hearing. But again, like, they can submit all the way up through February, because what could happen, right, is let's say we do draft plans a week out and somebody's like, I hate these plans. I want to draw one and submit it so that the city council can see it at the January meeting. You know, we could bring that up. Someone could come and testify and say, look, you really got this wrong. We need the lines here, here, and here. Here's a draft plan that I did after seeing yours. I really want the city council to review it and think about it. And then you guys could say, look, so-and-so's right. Let's use that plan. It's way better than the ones you've presented. And that's what we want to come forward in February. And then the same thing could happen in February, right? Where in February, they're like, well, you didn't get it. You're close, but we need to move something here or there. And again, in February, you can tell us, look, let's do that again. But it's really on that fifth hearing when you're going to vote on the final plan that you're going to use, where you can't make changes. So let's say we get to March and there's a last minute change that needs to happen. And you'll have to have another hearing to approve a map that's been published 7 days and doesn't change. So that's, I think, where, like, the deadlines, really, we could have maps up until February. But practically probably mid-December to have maps in consideration for your January meeting, and then mid-February or mid-January to have them part of, like, the tweaking process when we submit in February. Because in February, what we really hope to hear is, we like plan A. There maybe you need to do a couple changes. And after those changes are done, that's the map we're going to probably pass in March. And so then we'll do that, we'll post, and then you'll vote.
Okay. So it sounds like, although there's some fluidity, I would encourage the city to have some sort of a date on there, or a timeline, a specific one. Because I have to say, as member of the public, the way Chris described it would make me be excited about it, in terms of the ultimate goal of community members coming in and drawing maps with the goal of it being the draft map. And so I think that language should be somewhere on the website.
Okay.
And then, of course, with the goal of mid-December, so that we can have those maps come in the first round for review.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could do that.
So I get another question. Can a person submit more than one map on Redistrictor?
It could submit 1 million.
Okay.
I mean, it's really.
So the one that I submitted was the one that you saw, and that was a total mistake. I didn't know that save meant submit, and it's not even complete or anything. It doesn't make any sense. So, is there any way we can get rid of that?
I can try, but I mean, it's also like, it'll just go to the bottom of the page, right, as we get more and more submissions, and so
okay,
and we can just know that it's it's not complete.
Not even complete or anything.
Yeah. So I don't. And the other thing with the districtor is that this first round, before we turn on the drawing district lines version, is just for communities of interest. So you don't need to do a balanced district. You could just do one neighborhood or one community that you want to you want to draw, because right now we're using the old legacy file data, or I'm sorry, we're using the old ACS data. So we haven't updated it to the new, the final data that you will use from the statewide database.
Oh, okay. So what's the date for that?
So that comes out on the 20th of September.
Okay.
And it'll take us probably 10 days,
Yeah.
7 to 10 days to get everything updated and in. So we keep telling everybody that's going to be in by October 1st. So everybody, that'll be the final data. You'll know all the populations, and you can really start drawing districts that could be approved.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
No problem.
Are there any other questions regarding the website? And any updates before we move into public comment? Okay, Brian, any public comment for agenda item number 4?
I'm sorry, Councilmember, are we on public comment right now?
Yes.
All right, I did see a raised hand from Russell Ruiz, but he put it down. Russell? Oh, there he is. Okay, Russell.
Looks like he's muted.
Yeah, Russell, can you unmute?
Did that work?
Perfect, we can hear you.
Sorry. So my question here that I actually think I'm going to follow up with a memo tomorrow about, because I hate to be like this, but I do come here with a lot of background on district elections. I started following it when I was on the Santa Barbara Water Commission and the city of Santa Barbara got sued. And that was about 8 years ago. So I have read, I believe, every reported case, read all the law, and followed every Santa Barbara County agency that's gone through it. And there's been a lot of them at this point. And it's with this consultant, it's the first time I've ever heard this issue about census blocks being determinative and not being able to be changed. And from the lawyer perspective, the way you're making it sound is that the census block policy is stronger than the CVRA policies. And that's certainly not consistent with my understanding of the
Russell,
law.
just to interject.
Okay.
So federal law trumps state law. So this is a federal notion from the Supreme Court on equal population and using census blocks as our basis for definition of population. So that's where it kicks in. CVRA is a state law, so it would be subordinate to the federal issue.
So, and a retired lawyer, I'm not going to take that as a definitive answer because I've never seen it discussed before. But I'm going to, in my written memo, ask you, typical lawyer, could you please provide me some authority for that? And I'm not asking you to do that right now.
Okay.
But, I'm going to want to find out just for myself, because I try to claim I'm an expert in this area and I know nothing about this issue, is, how are the census blocks determined and defined? I don't even know that. How many do we have in the city of Carpinteria? Do you happen to know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but the census blocks are determined by the 2020 Tiger lines that are developed by the U.S. Census Bureau and used throughout the United States to draw district lines. And they are the lowest population number we have by a geography.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you I'll read up on that myself just so I want to understand it. And then I guess related to all that at a practical level, if we determine we don't want to do that, and I'm not saying we have that authority, but if we wanted to, can District R be programmed to ignore census blocks?
It's built from a census geography, so we can't use other geographic sets to draw the basic lines.
I'm just like, depending on how the legal analysis goes. And I think what I heard early on from you guys, and I've complimented you highly. I've seen probably 8 different consultants now over these years, and I think you guys are the best. So the fact that I've got these kind of comments, please don't take them as
No,
criticism.
I'm sorry. I had a back and forth with another attorney today on this issue. So in a different agency in a different part of the state. So nothing to do with Carpinteria, but that's why I've looked at some of the sites today on this. So
Okay. And I guess I'll just say I want to investigate that and understand it a little better, because I want to make sure that you guys are correct that we can't do it differently, because that surprises me. That, I mean,
well,
I guess I'd have to look at the census block to see what it's stopping L from doing.
yeah.
Because I think Al and I would both believe we know our city of Carpinteria communities better than just about anybody. And if he can't draw the map that he thinks we should have, I think that's an issue that we need to investigate as to, is that okay? That's what we have to accept or not? And again, that's a lawyer's question. I'm not asking you to answer today.
Well,
But-
and maybe I should just rephrase my statement. And in that the city can do kind of whatever they want. They could say, let's split census blocks from a policy standpoint. It just puts them in legal jeopardy, because you can't then define for any certainty the actual population in District A, B, C, D, and E. And then it basically, the simplest way to challenge a city council or any agency districting plan is to say that they're not equal of equal population. They violate the 10% total deviation rule for local agencies. So you could do it. We just recommend that you don't do it, because then you create this legal question down the road and the ability for people to challenge the lines because you split census blocks.
Yeah. And I get all that. And again, I shouldn't say this too loud, and I'm not giving legal advice, but I know who the plaintiffs are, or proposed plaintiffs here, and they're not going to sue us. They want to make sure we do it right. They're going to look at what we do, but I don't think they're going to look over our shoulders. And like the city of Santa Barbara, they had, the gnarliest litigator in town looking over their shoulder, charging them $900 an hour for every time he did.
Yeah.
But we don't have that, and I don't think we're going to. And I don't think Al, I, or anybody else want to draw a map that's in bad faith.
Totally.
And I know what Al's probably thinking about in the West End there. And I have had, I've sketched my map. You'll see my draft map in a couple of days, because I did it 6 months ago. But, the West End is interested, and maybe we do want to cross the freeway there. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. I'm sorry. That's it for now. Maybe Brian, for purposes of communicating directly with the city, specifically on district elections, should we use that dedicated email address now?
Yes, I think would be a good idea.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
Hey, Chris,
Yes.
that federal ruling that you're talking about regarding the census blocks,
Yeah.
when are you aware when that came down?
I need to go back and refer to it,
Yeah, okay.
because it's
Okay, just a question.
yeah.
Would it be helpful also to have a follow-up on that in terms of what you determined, Chris? Maybe that can come from Olivia or Brian as an update, or maybe provide an update at our next meeting.
I think what I can do is, and this is again, we're not legal counsel, so we'll write up a memo basically where our practice or our thoughts come from with court cases and statutes, so that you guys can see kind of where our thought process comes from. And maybe we're wrong and there's no big deal, but because of a court case, but I have not seen it, and so we'll get that kind of a memo to you, and we can go from there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions specific to item number 4, which is website updates? If not, I will confirm with Olivia if she has everything she needs as directives.
My only follow up on the memo was just timeline, just to know when we can expect that, just so that.
It's 2 weeks work.
2 weeks. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. So let's move on to item number 5, which is to discuss the September workshops and outreach planned.
Yeah, so thank you for the last meeting. I think we had a good discussion, and so we've set dates for Monday, September 20th at 5:30, since there is no council meeting, but people who do attend city council meetings kind of know those happen on Mondays. So that's kind of an easy date. And we are also doing a workshop on Wednesday, September 22nd at noon, and Sunday, September 26th at 2 p.m. And so we thought that would allow significant amount of opportunities for people to come and hear one of these 3 presentations. They're all going to be identical, with the exception of public comment, depends on who shows up. And so Chris and Redistricting Partners will be available to provide the presentation. We're going to do it at City Hall, and it's going to be both in person and virtual. And Chris and Redistricting Partners are going to be there from virtually on Zoom. And we have already met with TVSB, and we're going to test the platforms and make sure everything works next week, just to see how everything is going to work. And so we're very excited about that. With regards to an outreach update, we've got an ad for the Coastal View News, and I'm going to share that with you to see if you have any questions or any feedback on that. We've got the ad going out for this week, and so I think at this point it might be late for feedback for this particular ad, but it's also going to be the flyer that we're going to be distributing, so we can still make changes to it. Let me see if I can cue it up here. Show all windows. So here is the ad that has been made by Leah Boyd, and it includes, we kind of had her design the sort of logo kind of branding so that it's throughout anywhere that we use as Carpinteria City Council districting map. It's kind of like the puzzle pieces of the community. Just kind of wanted something fun, but something slightly branded, so that every time you see it, you're like, what's that? Oh, that's right. That's related to this process. So this is both the ad is going to run, it's going to be smaller in the Coastal View News, but it's also going to be a flyer that we're going to put out throughout the community. She's also working on the Spanish component of this for the flyers that we're going to be distributing anywhere where we can post it. There's a press release that she's working on, and I will be working with her on that for Spanish and English media, for all the media that we can reach that was outlined in the outreach memo from Redistricting Partners. We're trying to get it these meetings in calendar of events for the Coastal View News and like the different publications. She's also shared it on the Current, the newsletter, which has gone out today and will go out on the 22nd as well. And we're just going to be putting it all throughout social media, both in Spanish and English. So I'm happy to take any feedback about this particular flyer if you have any feedback.
Does it say anywhere on there about Zoom?
It says attend at City Hall or on Zoom. Details are carpinteriaca.gov. And so the idea is you go to the website and the homepage, and it's that splash
Okay,
page.
yeah, I can read it now. Okay, thanks.
Sure. So that's the updates for outreach, and we'll be meeting with the redistricting partners next week to discuss the agenda for the 3 workshops.
What's the capacity for the workshops, out of curiosity?
That's a good question. So we're outside, so we're just gonna set up outside, just the chairs. I don't know how many, but yeah, I mean, the capacity inside is 94 people, I think, Brian. I hear this was a conversation that was had earlier this week at City Hall. So I think the maximum number of chairs we can probably pull outside is 94 as well.
Great. No, the marketing looks great.
Thank you. So, but if you have any feedback on any of those pieces or ideas, or we'd be happy to incorporate that.
Good. So Olivia, is the object to get people to participate and draw a map?
The idea is well, the idea is kind of twofold. The idea is to get people first aware that there is this districting process occurring. Second, being aware that there's a website, because that's kind of a big deal. You know, I think Natalia, you said you didn't know there was this website, and that's because we didn't do anything with it other than we wanted to get it ready for all the publicizing of these workshops. And so now that we can get the word out, we have somewhere to go and somewhere to land. And so that alone, those 2 things are new to people. And then we need to help educate the community about what is this and what is the process, and engaging with us. And so the goal is for them to be engaged in this part. I don't assume that we're going to have a ton of people just show up in the first meeting, but the goal is that people are engaged throughout the process. And so that by the time that we get to this mid-December deadline, that people have already had conversations about this and have been able to engage. So it's kind of like I see it kind of as a long-term process and a short-term, with short-term goals.
And Olivia, you mentioned 3. Will those be the only 3 community outreach events?
Those are the first 3, because those will discuss the community of interests. Then after the October 1st, data that comes out from the census, then I believe in October we'll kind of do this again, but with a discussion around districts and the actual data that is correct, and how to use District R for not just communities of interest, but for the actual district mapping, which will be a different capability at that point. So this kind of gets us prepped to be able to do the same things over and over again, in a way that people are able to receive it. And that's why we wanted to brand it, so that people go, wait, what's this about? Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions regarding workshops or outreach for Olivia before we move to public comment? Okay. Anyone for public comment, Brian?
I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay. So Olivia, do you have everything that you need for the item?
I do. I think I do.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So item number 6 is to schedule our next meeting. So second Wednesday of the month at 4, or do we need to meet sooner?
That's a good question. And my guess is we should probably meet sooner, only because if in October we want to do this again, we need to kind of set it all up and address any concerns before we move forward too much. Would be kind of my inclination. So these workshops end on the 26th. So maybe like the 29th of September or the 6th of October. No, yeah, maybe the 29th of September.
Okay, the
would be
29th
good.
of September at 4. That works for me. Does that work for you, Al?
Sure.
Okay.
And I only say that because on the 6th, we have the CJPIA conference for risk management. So I would not be able to participate.
Okay, perfect. All right, so if there's nothing else, we can officially adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.